So just positioning yourself in a way that you can stay for the next few minutes. Allowing your head to reach up towards the sky. Shoulders are relaxed. So your spine is nice and straight. Start to count your breath here. So this is called the perfect 10. Start with an exhale, and then you inhale, and that's count 1. You try to make your way up to 10. But if you notice your mind starts to wander, then you start back at the beginning, which might mean you won't make it past counting 2 or 3. That's fine. Just training the mind. starting to picture beautiful flower, scent of your heart. And this can be a lotus flower or a rose, or of course any other flower that really resonates for you. Just see it as in their perfect form. Beautiful bright colors in bloom. Representing your compassion. Picture it in 3D, like it's real. And there's a scent. Now at the spot between your eyebrows, just noticing this little diamond. Shining very brightly. Again, see that it's very bright. In 3D, not like a picture. Just see the light bouncing off of it. And we're going to join the diamond inside the flower. The diamond's representing wisdom, your wisdom. So you can just let it travel down from that spot between your eyebrows, down, 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 all the way to the flower at your heart, and nestle it right in the center. Joining your wisdom and compassion at your heart. Now picturing someone in front of you that is in pain. either mental pain or physical pain. You see them suffer. And you hate that you see them suffer. You wish you could take it away. Starting to see all of their pain as this black, smoky substance in their body. You're going to take on this pain and destroy it. So as you see this pain, their suffering as this smoky substance, just start to gather it, packing it into a ball. Just making sure that you get it all. Packing it into a ball, just getting everything, the tips of their fingers, toes, just gathering all of that yucky stuff. Now once you have it all, starting to shrink that ball. And have it leave their body through their nostrils. Now this ball of suffering is floating between you and your friend. Now your next inhale, what we'll do is we're going to breathe in their suffering, this black little ball, through our nostrils, and we drop it down to our heart where that beautiful lotus flower and diamond are nestled. And as soon as that black, smoky ball of suffering hits the diamond at your heart, it will be destroyed. You can just see the whole thing explode, light shooting from your heart, and the suffering will be no more. So when you're ready, you can take that inhale, just take it in, dropping it down, and then just see it explode. All the light from your heart, your wisdom is destroying the suffering of your friend. Now, for some people, they feel a little resistance and they're scared that maybe that suffering will remain in their body or something. So if you have that feeling, you can just do it again until you feel it's all gone. Just keep on shining that light, destroying every bit of suffering of your friend. Have this magnificent light show coming from your heart. And when you look at your friend, they look so light. All of that pain is gone. It's like this huge weight has been lifted from their shoulders. You're so happy, and they don't know why. But they don't have to know why. And then you make a dedication by the goodness of doing this meditation, accumulating the virtue. May all beings be happy, reach their highest goals, including yourself. And then you can slowly come down. Stretch your legs. Hi. How are you? What's your name?
Chris.
Sorry? Chris?
Chris.
Curtis. Hogan, would you mind turning off the fan stuff? Okay. So that is that meditation is called Tonglen, and it's a very common meditation in the Buddhist tradition. And it's a meditation that you can do all the time. Like you can even say you're doing tomorrow something that scares you, you're gonna have a difficult conversation with someone, or I don't know, something. You can put yourself in front of you. You can work it like that too, right? Yeah.
Buddhism, when you find suffering, is it mental suffering or relieving your pains or actual physical
Both.
pain?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
It seems like I thought isn't that a big part of Buddhism accepting pain?
Um,
And it said also it's hedonic. Like, are you measuring greatness by how much pleasure you get out of life, how much joy, in contrast to pain and suffering?
so we.
There's another philosophy that I adhere to, and their idea is that moral excellence or virtue is only good, and that physical suffering is, pain and pleasure are indifferent in regard to it. So you can't really use how much pleasure you get out of a situation as a measure for goodness.
Okay. So there's definitely a lot of different ways to look at it. We would like to relieve suffering. We'd like to help people not suffer, and
Suffering in mind or in
both.
body?
Both. You know, if anybody you know is suffering physically, and we can help them, sure, we should help them, and we can help them through our practice too. And then, yeah, there's an acceptance part of it too when you suffer, to deal with your suffering, for sure, for sure. Yeah, so it's both.
I found that the more happy or physical suffering I have to go through to achieve that.
Oh, really?
So like with yoga, for example, when you do stretches, that's that is physical pain. Going to work and doing the house.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like that, but I guess
Well,
it
it's
can be.
physical pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're trying to acquire a new skill, there's a certain amount of miles trying to tank, while you're trying to achieve that, you're trying to learn a new language,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm just being very
Yeah, it can be like that for sure. So today we're talking about the conditions of the environment for meditating. So we've been talking about preliminaries to meditation the last couple of weeks, and I will be reviewing some of this maybe in the next class or the week after. I'll touch back into it, but right now I'd like to dive right into the conditions of the environment. So when we meditate, it's important that there's a few things in place. There's this little list here that we'll go over, and this is coming from the Lamrim Chenmo by Jason Papa. And as I said, I think in the first class, that he was plagiarizing all of this. Okay, so you don't need to invent new things when everything was spoken by holy beings, right? So just put it in a new order for the next generation, but no need to add or subtract things. Right? So the first condition that I'll talk about, he got from this book called the Sutra Lamkara, and this was written by Master Sangha. So Master Sangha is quite an important figure in this tradition. Him and his brother, both. His brother is Master Vasubandhu, and then this is Master Sangha. They were children of a nun who had this very clear vision that she must marry a Brahmin, and after that, or the other way around, marry a king and have their children. And so she did, and the two children became like one of the most important figures in Buddhism. He's written a lot of important books that we study in this lineage. So that's Master Sangha and Master Vasubandhu. So the sutra, the first condition we're looking at is written by Master Sangha, 350 AD. And in Tibetan, the first one's called Tunpe Yul. So you can repeat Tunpe Yul. Tunpe Yul. And this means staying in a conducive place. Now, some of these points that we're going over relate to our meditation practice at home. Some of them apply more to a retreat setting. Okay. So you'll find out, you'll see what kind goes where. But so the first thing is, he says, stay in a conducive place. Now, what does that mean? Like, basically, you need to meditate in a place that you feel safe, comfortable, right? It should be warm enough, not too warm, because then you might get sleepy. You don't want to be too cold, or you might not be able to concentrate very good either. Yeah, so you want it to be a safe place. And you shouldn't be afraid of wild animals or something if you're meditating in a place where you're at. So things that can distract you from meditating in a nice, deep way, right? You shouldn't feel threatened by people or animals. And it should be in a place where you don't get sick. So it's a pleasant temperature and it's not too noisy. And so if you are staying in a retreat, so the retreat, how it's done in this lineage is mostly alone. Okay, so when you go into a retreat, it can be a month, 3 months, 3 years, very common to do 3 years, 3 months and 3 days. It's done in complete isolation. And basically you arrive in this place, you close the door and you don't come out, okay? And so in order to do that, you want it to be a place where you're safe and where you're comfortable, okay? Because you don't want to be thinking about all of those things. Oh gosh, I wish I brought an extra sweater, or I didn't bring enough food, no. You should be completely prepared beforehand. So you have everything you need in order to have a conducive retreat. Right? So it's very important. And in these retreats, often how it's done is that someone is caring for you, and you might not see this person. In fact, you shouldn't see anybody. But often it is that they will cook for you, and then they deliver. You have some sort of system that they put it outside, and you know when, and you go get it. So you don't have to worry about food or anything, and they will bring it to you. And this person should be someone that agrees with what you're doing, right? Because you don't want to have a weird thing going on that they don't really sincerely mean when they bring you something. Yeah. So when you do these retreats, basically you would arrive, make sure you have everything organized so you don't need to make any phone calls or anything. Close the door, you can go inwards for as long as you decide to do it. And yeah. So this is all in that first one, is to have a conducive place. So you should have everything you need. It should be safe. It should be a place where it's pleasant, where the people that are there caring for you are in the same kind of mindset, happy to serve you. And then the last one of that is having goodness. So getting rid of sense desires, worldly pleasures. Just so you can fully focus on turning inwards. So when I've done retreats 5 years in a row now, and not that long. I have kids, so you do what you can. But every time I've taped off all the windows so you don't even look outside. So you're really forced to going inwards, right? And that can be quite tricky because your mind, you're desperate to do something, especially if you're quite a busy person, I'm a mom. I'm always caring for my kids, and I'm organizing who needs to be driven where, to what activity, food, who doesn't like this food, okay, I gotta cook this, I'm always organizing in my mind. And then you get there, and there's nothing to do. And that's really weird, You don't get to see anybody, you don't get to look outside. You're not bringing anything to do. No scripture, no study, no reading, nothing. So then you're in this space and days are quite long. And your mind is just like, okay, I want to do something, right? And my food's all prepared. I've had some amazing people help me, and they pre-cooked food for me, and I just brought it all and have it in the freezer there, and I just warm up my food, so I don't have to worry about that. So the only thing I have to do is wash my dishes after and shower myself, but that's really the only activity, right? So you're forced to go inward. That's the whole idea, and then deal with whatever is coming up, and it can be beautiful. It can be hard.
What about the limitations or requirement of your physical activity?
Yeah, so it really depends a little bit. You shouldn't go on a retreat like this without someone helping you. It would depend on what your teacher and you come up with. Like in my case, I was instructed to do yoga for an hour a day, like quite rigorous yoga to just get everything moving, right? But I've heard of other retreats where they said, nothing. But yeah, so yeah, you should be in touch with your teacher or your guide before you go in, so you're very clear on what your days look like, what kind of meditations you do, and how long, and everything. Okay? Making sure you're very clear, because you don't want to be in retreat and then not knowing what to do. Yeah, and you don't have any contact with anyone, but you do contact your lama if you need to. That's the only person, your teacher, right? If sometimes it gets really hard, and some people go a little crazy, right? And that's not the goal at all. So if that happens, there's this thing called lung that you can get, and it's very common, where you are not able to sleep. And if you don't sleep for 2 nights or something, you can go pretty crazy. So generally, if you haven't slept for 2 nights, you should come out of retreat. That's always the safest thing to do. Better yet is to prevent that. But it's possible that you're not able to sleep. You get anxiety, or you get shortness of breath, or things like that. So when you start to feel a little bit odd, it's important to work with your food too. Like you bring a lot of heavy, oily foods to keep you grounded. So we eat a lot of butter, nuts, and things like that. Peanut butter, very good to keep you grounded. And then of course, if you do yoga and you do do stuff that's grounding to you. But other than that, the idea is to go inwards. So if you're meditating at home, it's the same idea. Like you want to be comfortable, you want to be safe, and you want to be warm enough, and all of that stuff, right? So when you sit down to meditate, you don't have to get up to get a sweater. You don't have to, I've eaten too much, or I've eaten too little. You want to be prepared when you sit down that you're ready to go. Okay, no distractions, computers off, and like that. So that's the first one. So you stay in a conducive place that's conducive to you meditating.
Can I just ask, did you think you might mention already, time-wise, like what you're describing is retreat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So would that, all what you described, include a period of a month, or like you said, up to 3 years? So is there a minimum and maximum? It's just the conditions.
You do what you can do. Some people are able to do a few years. Great. Others aren't, right? A weekend is great. it will plant the seeds in your mind for more to come, right? So you can start small, and same with the length of your meditation. We start small. You don't have to sit down and think you need to meditate for 2 hours. Not at all. No, you start with a few minutes, 5, 10, 15 minutes, and you can add a little bit each week and work your way up, or stay at the same time for a little while. Work with what you are capable, and eventually maybe you'll be able to do half an hour or 45 minutes or something. So it's fine to start small, and it's fine to start small with retreats, definitely. So the second thing in Tibetan, say Dupa Chungwa. And this is not so much your environment, it's more of an attitude where you don't want very many things. You don't want for many things, okay? So basically you live simply. Don't need many things. And I think that might be one of the reasons why monks don't have much in the way of possessions, right? They have their robes, they have a bowl. I don't know what else they have, not much more, I don't think. Because everything you own takes up some mind space and a concern about it, right? And if you don't have that, if you don't have very many things, then life's a bit simpler, right? Which will be conducive to meditation. Especially when you're in retreat, you'd be amazed with all the things that come up in your mind, and you're like, where does this all come from, So live simply. Don't have this need for many things. Things don't make you happy anyways. You just have what you need and excess, right? And then the third one is to be easily satisfied with whatever you get. So be satisfied with the things that you have. And that's a nice attitude to live, right? And we just talked about that a little bit before class. One choice is to complain about every little thing, and other ways to be grateful and satisfied. And it's a nice way to live. It's nice to feel like I'm good. I've got everything I need. Right? So those two, they came from Master Vajrabandhu, from the Abhidharma Kosha. These two. So you don't want many things, and you're easily satisfied with what you have. Because if you go into meditation and you think you need one more thing, or a new house, or a new car, new position, and you're not satisfied with what you have, it will affect your meditation. It will. So, trying not to be attached, trying to be content. Now, the next one is called, in Tibetan, Yomang Pam. Yomang Pam. And this is giving up doing many things. So I already said that, in retreat, your mind gets lonely and it gets attached to things, even like cleaning up. I remember one year when I did the retreat, I was so desperate to do something, and there was a little kitchen there, and I took out all the drawers and started cleaning them just because I just really wanted to do something. So like that, right? We always find things to do, want things to do. Sorry? We're made to do stuff? I think it's conditioning, right? I'm just used to it.
Well, you have this body and this mind, why not put it to use?
Well, and we should put it to use. Of course, we should put it to use. But then there's times when we meditate that we should try not to, right? Because then we can see what's really going on in our mind, rather than being always busy chasing things and basically running away from going inward, having a look what's happening. And it's easy to always be busy, right? So in your daily life, when you have so many different projects on the go, it might be difficult to then sit down and meditate and feel like you can dive into it. So can you let go of some of the things that you don't really need to do in order to create more space for your meditation? And so when you go into a retreat, then you want to make sure that all of your affairs are arranged and you don't need to think about anything. It's kind of like you're preparing to die or something. I always feel like, not just in retreat, even when I go on a holiday, I feel like I have to call everybody, say goodbye. I'm only gone for a few days, but for retreat, the same. Like you want no things unfinished, right? Same as projects and things. You want to make sure that you don't have to think about it. Everything's good, and you're ready to just step away from all of it, including people. Right? Yeah. Which then leads us to the next one is Sultrim Dakpa. Sultrim Dakpa. So that means avoid harming any being. And this is morality, right? Maintaining a very ethical way of life. When you go into meditation or into a retreat and you have all these bad things on your mind, it's going to mess with your meditation. You can develop good concentration when you do bad deeds. No. Cannot. You cannot develop shamatha. Cannot develop the realizations that we're after when your mind is imbued with bad deeds. Like we confess, we can clear it out, we can try not to harm beings. Which will help us.
You're a happy, evil person. Like evil people can only sleep better than me.
You need a lot of virtue to have deep realizations. So when you are doing lots of bad deeds, you can't.
There's a German general, in Hitler's army. His nickname was literally Smiles. So he just had a permanent smile. He was always happy. He was a joyful guy.
But he was doing bad deeds.
Well,
Yeah.
He was living according to his moral system.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Everyone's going to face what you're saying.
Well, that's all right. I don't know what his mind was like. I don't know what he was thinking. But when we feel happy, it would be because of good deeds that we've done in the past. And
Not necessarily. It's more of your value judgment of these deeds. It's like, what if you're a really happy person? You treat every human being with love and dignity.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, butcher animals and put them through a Holocaust and kill them and eat them. So it's kind of, there's like a line in danger. I'm just saying for an example.
Mm-hmm.
So like with Nazi Germany, for example, they considered Jews and people that do not follow their ideology to be morally indifferent.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, are we way too critical?
It's all right. It's all right. We have a different course on karma, and this is where we dive into all of that. So this class, I'm trying to stick with the material, which is meditation. In another class, we can discuss all of the ideas about karma. We can discuss about emptiness, but it's fine. You don't have to agree with anything I say. You really don't. I'm not asking you. I'm just transmitting what has been taught to me, which has been taught to my teacher and that teacher. And it's good to be critical, and it's good to think about it. Yeah, that's fine if you think that. That's fine. So when you have bad things on your mind, it's such a powerful practice to confess this. It's very healthy because your conscience will be clear. You purify yourself, and you'll have better meditations rather than not dealing with it. It is very, very often that the monastery, they do these fire pujas and fire pujas. So I can't say how they do it in the monastery, but I can say how it's taught to me. Basically, you have a big fire and you write down all of the bad things that you have on your mind, and together with black sesame seeds and the piece of paper, you throw it in the fire, and it's powerful. It's beautiful practice, I think, to do.
Helping
to clear your mind.
Not to rid yourself of karma.
Well, that's what you do also at the same time, right? If you can understand the workings of karma, you are purifying that through that way also. Yeah. And it's a good habit to get into, and it has, it helps you also be more aware in your daily life when you're about to do something. I've sometimes have not done something because I knew I would make myself confess it to my teacher afterwards, right? So, hey,
That's good.
So maybe if you're lazy, you don't want to throw one more thing in the fire. It might help you to prevent bad things. It just becomes as part of your awareness, and you won't. It'll help you stop yourself before you do it, so you don't have to deal with it after the fact. And it's very, very powerful if you really want to do something and then you stop yourself from doing it. It's very, very powerful. If you really want to, whatever, and you stop yourself in the heat of the moment, that's hard. It's hard. When you're overcome by anger and you make yourself stop, that's amazing if you can do that, or work towards that. Yeah. So yeah, having that ethical way of life. And that helps you in your meditation, and your meditation helps you in your life, right? It goes both ways, because meditation will help you become more aware, and being more aware and being aware of the good things you're doing and stuff, and stopping your bad deeds will help you in your meditation. So it's good. It's good. Um,
Can I ask you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Page 4 it says a note on lung, condition caused by psychic energy imbalance.
yeah, that's long. Yeah. So that's what I told when you can't sleep, or sometimes your heart can hurt, and you just need to know when to back out of meditation. You know, I've sometimes just skipped the meditation in retreat because I feel something might be coming, and then just rest instead. Just, you know, you have lots of time to think about it when you're in retreat. So you know, well, hopefully you know when to just take a bath or do different kind of meditation, more of a grounding meditation, you know, focusing down below rather than up high if you're doing something with the inner body or something. You know? Yeah, because you don't want long. Some people had to go to some institution because you know if you can't sleep for a few days, it can really mess with your mind. You know? And they've come out. They just need to go for a couple of days, get some sleeping pills, and sleep a lot, and relax and get everything balanced again. But yeah, if you can avoid it, it's the best. So just having a lot of working with your food, a lot of oily foods, and then really listening to what's happening and backing off when you need to. Yeah, very important. Yeah. So then the last one of that list is giving up distraction of the senses, meaning getting rid of desire for worldly things in your life. And does that mean that you can't enjoy a cup of coffee or ice cream or whatever? No, it doesn't mean that at all. But it does mean ignorant desire. Things cannot make you happy, and we are often under the illusion that they can. We think if we just get more, or if I just get, that boyfriend or girlfriend, then everything will be good, or you'll lose everything at the end. So stick to what's really important, because you will lose your house and your car and all of your material possessions. You can't take them with you when you die. You can't take your money with you. You can't take your friends with you, your family. You lose it all. So, of course you should have friends and you should have everything you need in order to meditate. But don't be so attached to it that it affects your meditation. And you have to be able to let go and know that nothing lasts. And in this tradition, they say, the only thing you can take with you is dharma, is the seeds you plant in your mind, and your mind moves on. This thing's gotta go. It's not. You can't take that with you, right? So, yeah, you should take care of your body, but sorry.
That's why we tend to attract people in our lives that are sort of at the same level of, what the word is, spiritual resonance. Is that because what we take with us is our seeds, our dharma seeds?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when definitely. That's why you're here.
Potentially, we could also see them in those who are living a monastic life,
Further down?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. No.
You think about their lifestyle.
Yeah.
And their ability to practice.
Yeah. Well, they have amazing virtue to be able to live the life they live. Absolutely. It doesn't mean that you cannot be a better practitioner than they are. You know, it doesn't mean you have to be in a monastery to be a great practitioner. Absolutely not. I mean, this is the seeds they have, and that's amazing because they have time. Does it mean that they're better in meditation? Maybe, maybe not. You know, it depends on all of their karmic seeds. You know, you could be, you know, we could have people in this room right now that are in nirvana. You know, very, very possible. It doesn't mean you have to be in a monastery. It doesn't mean either that we haven't done that before. You know, in another life, maybe we have. I don't know. Yeah. So one is not better than the other. Yeah, it's beautiful if you can live in a monastic way of life. You know, for us that are not in a monastery, we get to be challenged in different ways. You know? They get to be challenged in different ways. You know, I can't really say what kind of things. It will be different for everyone. For us, you know, we're surrounded by people, and it's different, right? Or if you're a parent, you know, kids challenge you. If you're not a parent, maybe people at work challenge you. But if you're in a monastery, maybe your neighbor monk really annoys you. I mean, we all have to deal with what we have to deal with, either we're in a monastery or not. It doesn't matter.
Because like you always say, it takes a lot of virtue to see emptiness.
Yeah.
And then if you also agree then that those who are living in a monastery have a lot of virtue.
They have a lot of virtue.
Kind of, I hear what you're saying, but I still kind of feel this. It's kind of like an Olympic athlete, and just because they train so much, they're able to do certain things that we cannot.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't trained.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of not trying to judge, but I believe that people in the monastery are practicing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to, where we go into retreat and then we're dealing with the distractions, well, theirs is an easier way to retreat.
Possibly.
Possibly. You're right. Depends individually, but I just see that.
I'm just thinking what we were talking about, the physical conditions. They have the physical environment, the conditions, and yes, optimal, and yes, the virtue as well from that point. A route to, let's say, more internal conditions, that's a different issue. What they bring with them there is different. And that's what we have, even whatever, regardless of our physical. But it's called karma again, you know, as to
Like,
how that interacts,
someone
right?
in a war-torn country now who's not able to meditate and go into retreat, whereas we have the virtue to be here, we have teachers,
Yes.
we have
We have more opportunity.
we have the virtue to keep adding more virtue. Whereas some people, their life just dealing with survival is all they can do. And
Mm-hmm.
I see them being able to accumulate enough virtue to see emptiness. I'm not saying that we would do that,
Yeah, but you can't judge that. You don't know. You don't know what someone in a war-torn country.
What about the Jewish war survivors who basically were forced to see emptiness? Like,
Yeah.
you know, they came to
And how are they
understand
processing that?
way faster
That's
than any of
internal.
us will.
That's internal. Whatever's happening to you, how are you managing to process it? That's where you're influencing what's coming next in your karma.
You know, I'll tell you that when, you know, I moved here about 15 years ago, I didn't know anybody and I had kids right away. And I felt like for 5 years I had no friends. I had nobody that I knew, and I was dealing with 3 kids under the age of 4 years old, and this was my life. You know, my body. I was breastfeeding for 3 years. I was pregnant nonstop, and it felt like all I'm doing here is I'm trying to survive, and I give up everything I am for these kids. I have nothing else to do. This is what I do, you know. And I feel like, and you know, I could be wrong, but I feel like I had to go through those years to collect the virtue to even get these teachings, you know. I feel like if I hadn't done that, gave up my everything, that I would not find myself in front of a teacher, or I would not find myself receive any of this. And I could be wrong, but you know, sometimes we have to go through hard things and give up yourself and all your wants. And you know, if you're in a war-torn country and you're just trying to survive and help those around you survive, they're collecting so much virtue, as well as they're going through pain, of course. But you know, we can't say what that would lead to for them, right? And it will be different for every individual. It will be, you know. Some of them are filled with hatred, others aren't, you know, like that. I don't know if that helps.
What about this idea of collecting virtue in your like actions towards others?
Mm-hmm.
Like this idea of getting to a place of having wisdom or that you then can share with others. I guess I'm still pretty new to all these ideas, but I'm thinking about the difference of being removed versus in my daily life, I can either cause harm to a lot of people because, for example, in my job, I have 250 students every term, and so my actions, I can see when I look out, I see the way my actions impact this big group of people.
Yeah.
And depending on my actions, I have things to confess, or I feel as if I have this amazing opportunity, not in a selfish way, but to accumulate virtue in a way that alleviates the suffering of others.
Mm-hmm.
So I almost see it from a different perspective of being, obviously having the luxury of going into retreat and all the luxuries that I have, but also this I feel as if I have an immense privilege of being able to interact with so many, I see interacting with so many people as an immense privilege.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. And you know, when you're in a monastery, you will also have that, you know, because most of those places have hundreds or thousands sometimes people there that all need to be fed, you know. There's a lot of, you know, I think they're really put to work and keeping property, feeding each other, whatever they do. I don't really know that much about it, but there is definitely also ways to interact with people and collect virtue in that sense also, right? Yeah.
Virtue is collective, not just by what we do, though, by how we think. So if you're thinking in a monastery versus a university setting, whatever setting, it's the same.
It's your garden, right? Did we talk about that last week? The
Yeah.
garden where you plant your seeds, so it can be anywhere,
Yeah.
and one's not necessarily better than the other.
And that's that idea of the merit field, and that could be anything.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
What's your definition of virtue? What word do you, what word are you deriving?
So when we talk about virtue, we basically mean that we're not harming anybody and we're doing good deeds. So you can prevent yourself from harming others. That would be virtue. Yeah.
Being a benefit?
Being of benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Doing good deeds. Doing good deeds is
Are you deriving that from a concept too?
I'm not tell you that right now.
This is stemming from the Tibetan tradition.
Yeah.
What's the Tibetan tradition called?
So this is the Galupa lineage.
Chalupa? Okay.
So do you guys mind if we go 5 minutes over?
It seems like the result of virtue, but not really virtue itself. Like, to not harm other beings, it's very externalized. That could be the result of virtue, but really.
It both. Result of virtue. Yeah, it's like a cause and a result. Yeah.
It's like virtue in another sense, or the original sense, it's more internalized. It's a moral excellence that rests within your character of who you are. Like if you're in your actual, yeah, it rests in your character and not so much the actions and like your actions and your speech, the way that you actually affect the world, everything that's up to you, that, it's, you can measure that, but whether you harm other people or not, I couldn't quite call that a virtue. So, in some situations you might have to harm someone, in some situations you might not.
It depends on your intention, right? So it definitely has. It's not just external. It is what you're thinking also, right? You can harm someone with a great intention, to help them in that moment, like my kids crossing the street and I yell at them, and they might be very scared of me for that second because I yell at them very angrily. But my intention is to save them from getting killed by a car, right? So yeah, it might look to someone that didn't see the situation that I'm harming them, but my intention is to actually save them, right? So for our next little thing, I wanted to ask if Hogan can sit here because I want to talk about posture for a couple minutes. And Hogan has a very good posture. Unlike myself.
Not always.
So if you can just sit. And so we're talking a little bit about the 7-point posture for meditation. It's called the 7-point posture of Vairocana, which is the name of a Buddha, meaning that you can emanate anytime, anywhere, which is a characteristic of all Buddhas. But you can face them. So 7-point posture. Let's start with the lotus posture. So if you can do a full lotus, I think Hogan can, right? Then you should. As long as it doesn't hurt, you should. And you put your left foot up first, and then your right foot.
So it doesn't. Oh, that's yeah.
Yeah. If you cannot do a full lotus, you can do a half lotus. You can do that. When you do a half lotus, you put your left foot down and your right foot up. Yeah.
Sort of the right foot's up.
Right foot's up. So when you do a full lotus, it basically forces your spine up straight, right? So that's the benefit of doing a lotus like that. Now, if you can't do either, like myself, you just do a cross-legged position, having your left foot in, and then your right foot. So,
I was just looking at the Buddha. I thought this is that is a different. His right, his left foot.
his left foot's up first, then his right foot.
Oh,
Yeah.
the left foot up first.
Yeah, when you do full lotus, yes. So your eyes, in this tradition they say cast them downwards. Okay, so you can have a little bit of light coming in. So you don't close them. If you have them open too wide, you can get really distracted, right? Your eyes start to see things, and then you're going to think about those things. So that's why they say, if you close your eyes, you might get too sleepy. So if you let a little bit of light in, that can help you stay awake So you just cast them down. Your body is straight, so you're not leaning forward or backwards. Now it says if you lean back, you get dull. If you lean forward, you crunch.
You what?
I don't know. Crunch. I don't know what that means. So if you find yourself that you're starting to slump a little bit, just very gently during meditation, just straighten yourself out again, just so you don't distract yourself from the meditation. You can just very mindfully just move back up. And your shoulders are level. Oh yeah, your hands. Your left hand should be down first, then your right hand on top, and your thumbs touch. Now this works nicely when you can do full lotus because you're resting up. If you don't do full lotus, it might not, your hands kind of float, right? So that might not work then. So you can place them, on your legs as well. Your head is straight. So even though your eyes are cast down, you don't bring your head down, okay? So your head is straight. So it's not high or bent down. And your teeth and lips are in a natural position. And that is important because we often have tight jaws, right? We have a tendency to keep our mouth shut and tight. So when you're getting good, your lips will be a little bit apart, a little bit open, just like you're watching a good movie. Might start to do that. That's okay. And they say it keeps you from getting thirsty. And you don't breathe through your mouth, right? We breathe through our nose because otherwise your throat will get dry and you won't swallow. So your tongue can be touching the upper area of the teeth. And then the last, so this is a 7-point posture, so we've gone over the 7 points, and then the 8th point is the breath. Okay. So the 8th point sometimes is mentioned, sometimes it's not. But we can add it here, so it's the breath. And the breath should be very slow. Should be very slow. And if you get very slow and you breathe through your nose, you might start to notice when the little hairs in your nose vibrate when you breathe. And as you noticed in the meditation that we did, we first were doing an out breath. So they say start with an out breath. So breath is not a holy object, but it's a good way to shift your gears from your busy life or whatever to start to get into meditation. It's a good way to start to become present. It's not an object that leads you to enlightenment. It's not an object that's really virtuous, but it is a great way to help you center and then start your meditation.
In the 7 preliminaries, they don't actually mention the breath, right?
No.
Right?
No.
These homeworks, they always say count to 10, and that's
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. True.
What does that say?
no, in the homework meditations, they just say count to 10, like do the 10 breaths that Mariska was talking about, and then start focusing. But the 7 preliminaries last week, they never had a part which made you focus on your breath.
And then it's very nice to have a cushion. To have your back a little bit higher than your front will help you with your posture also. Okay? So, yeah.
Is it only for the nose all the time?
Yeah.
Some of the meditations I've been to, like instructors for combinations.
And it's okay to start to do it as preliminary, but when you start as to come into meditation with specific object, unless you have, a cold or something. And this is another reason why the conditions of the environment are so important. You won't want to get sick because when you get a cold and then you meditate, you can't breathe. It's hard and then it becomes distracting, right? So that's why it's important to be warm enough and eat healthy food, care for your body, so it can meditate.
So you can't do breath meditation for your whole life and that bring you to the virtue. Is that what you're saying? Oh.
Of course, it will depend on your motivation, intention, and everything behind it. But if you wouldn't have that, then it's not a virtue. According to these legends. Yeah. Thank you, Hogan.
I just noticed it wasn't recording.
I know it's
Oh.
yes. Okay. Then if you are like me and you're uncomfortable and your legs fall asleep, it takes time. I've been sitting for 8 years and I am finally starting to get a little bit better. And I've been sitting with back rest, which they say do not do that. But I have because otherwise I couldn't sit at all. And now after all these years, I finally get ready to not use the backrest. So yeah, you just gotta go through it, and it will get easier. And the more you sit, just like anything, it will get better. I think my knees were like up here when I started, and now okay, it's coming down a bit. So it just takes time. And when your legs fall asleep, let them fall asleep. When you start to get an itch, just let it itch. It will go away. And don't follow, your mind that wants to scratch or whatever. Just let it be, and you'll see it will just go away. Just be mindful that when your legs do fall asleep and you get up, that had some people break their legs because they get up and then their legs are asleep and they fall down, right? So you don't want that. But it's okay if it falls asleep, and over time, it must get easier. It will get easier if you practice every day or several times a week. It will be just like anything. Yeah.
Stimulants affect your meditation.
Sorry?
Stimulants affect your meditation.
Stimulants. Like what? It can. It can. I do think it depends on the person. If you're very sensitive to coffee and you start drinking a lot of coffee before you meditate, it might not work. Some people can drink coffee and not feel any effect, be affected by it. So it will depend on each person. So you can try it and see. I had a coffee this morning and now I'm meditating. Do I feel a little bit like this? Okay, next time I won't do that. Or did I eat a heavy meal before? You probably will notice it will affect your meditation. So eat after, but you don't want to be super hungry because then your tummy will rumble and then that will be a distraction. So you have to find out what works for you when you sit down to meditate. Do it at a time. It's nice to do it in the morning. Not everybody's able to do it in the morning. It's okay to do it at night, but you gotta just kind of work with your schedule and what your body needs, and you'll figure that out. It'll be different for every person. Definitely. Yeah. Is there any questions before we Okay, great.
Where's
Say that again.
where can I get the papers that you guys
Okay, yeah, let me after class, we'll get you the website for it. So next week there's no class, okay? And then the following week we'll be back. And if I don't have your email, if you can give it to me, it would be good because I sometimes, I don't know, something might happen and I'd like to notify if we need to cancel a class or something. So again, we'll end with the prayers. You can look at Kathy's prayer if you like. So we'll do it in Tibetan once again. So we do the offering of the mandala first. Sashi Puki Chukshin Meto Tram Rira Lingshi Nyende Gempa Sange Shindu Mitte Uwar Drokun Nanda Shimla Shupar Sho Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Nirtya. And then we go to the dedication of the goodness of a deed. So we're dedicating this class. So it's one time. Gewa di kiun kun sunam yeshe sok sok shin sunam yeshe lejun we dampa kuni topa shok. Thank you. We'll end with a prostration. We'll do 3 prostrations. Go. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Yes, let's do that. Let me just stop this.